If this lighting makes me look super washed out, just pretend it doesn't. Okay, please, just for my sake. Hi, hello, how are you? I'm Alex, and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, it's nice to meet you, and if you're coming back, we're best friends now. I hope you're doing well, and if not, that's okay. I totally get that, and I hope tomorrow is better, truly. Today, I wanted to Today I wanted to discuss the theme of unhinged women in literature. It's become a super popularized theme in, of course, books, but also movies and TV shows, and I'm very, very interested in where it came from and reading more stories about it and kind of getting different viewpoints on the theme. So in this video, I just wanted to discuss some of my favorite books that go along with the trope of the unhinged woman. But first, a history lesson. The word hysteria is something that has been used for a while, and the meaning of the word is any kind of excess of emotion that's very, very overwhelming and kind of translates into some erratic behavior. And the word hysteric comes from the Latin word hystericus, which is borrowed from the Greek word hysterikos, which comes from the word itself, hystera, which is Greek, and it's the word for womb. And that is because hysteria was commonly used to describe the unwellness of women, because anything that caused them to be unwell or present strange behavior came because they had a uterus. Off to a good start. And one of the most popular books, I suppose, or stories that represent this hysteria in women is The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilman, which was published in the 1880s, I believe. And it tells the story of this woman who slowly loses her mind because she's doing literally nothing all day. She has no mental stimulation. And that's because in order to improve her health, her husband, who was also a physician, has prescribed her rest. She's not supposed to do anything. She can't read, she's not supposed to write, she can't really talk to other people. She's just supposed to relax all day. Shocker, she doesn't murder him. And this story perfectly encapsulates the role of women at that time, and more specifically, how they were treated based on their mental health and the complete lack of self-autonomy for women. And at the time, Gilman was a lecturer for women's rights and social reform, and she was inspired to write this story after her own experience of coping with postpartum depression and her experience with doctors. The dismissal of women, although it's been significantly improved in around the mid-20th century, is still common today. And in an article by Vera Curia, she described the theme of unwell women and how it represents female rage a lot of the time. And she said, "How does any woman manage to stay hinged in a world where she's frequently dismissed, underestimated, and attacked?" Which I think really, really well describes the theme of unhinged women and where it comes from in terms of history of women's mental well-being and women's health in general. As a lot of you probably know, because you're on social media and whatnot, the term unhinged girlies has been used commonly, and it kind of falls under this theme, and I think it was popularized more recently because people have been reading Sally Rooney and Ottessa Moshfegh. As someone that adores the work of Sally Rooney and of Ottessa Moshfegh, I've become super interested in this theme of unhinged women and how it's represented in literature both in the past and in the present. So I have been reading more books discussing the theme of unhinged women, typically written by women, because I feel like those are the authors that are most equipped to write on the subject, but not limited to. And so I wanted to share with you guys some of my favorite books that represent this theme and that present the unhinged woman. And although it is a very limited list, I will hopefully expand on it and share more with you in the future. The first book that I want to recommend, please ignore the washed outness of my face, is a Quebecois memoir. It's originally written in French, but I read the translation, and that is Suzanne by Anais barbeau-lavalette. And it tells the story of her maternal grandmother who had no relationship to barbeau-lavalette's mother or to barbeau-lavalette herself. And she only met her a couple of times. She didn't really know much about her because her mother didn't know much about her. But then after her grandmother passed away and she was going through her things, she decided to piece together the story of her life and to tell it in second person, which is really a really interesting way to display a memoir. And it's all about kind of breaking those conformities of like motherhood and being a wife, which it was what Suzanne was confined to at the time, when she really just wanted to be an artist and she just wanted to be a writer because that was her passion and what like gave her life meaning. So it's really interesting and it's very emotional, and it made me so sad in the end, but it was so good. So good. Next, I want to recommend one of my favorite books, which I've spoken a lot about, and that is Girl, Woman, Other by Bernardine Evaristo. This won the Booker Prize in 2019, and it is phenomenal. It is, oh my god, it's so good. And it tells a story of different girl, women, and other, from different perspectives, and the majority is Black women living in England. And what I like about it is that it breaks the barriers between generations and ages and time periods and perspectives and sexualities and religions. And it's so fascinating. And I love how Evaristo writes, because she really just kind of takes matters in her own hands, makes her own rules for writing and literature and storytelling. And it's just fantastic. It's incredible. It is a long book. However, it doesn't feel that long because you are so immersed into the lives of these women that like it just engrosses you and you can't put it down. And of course, this list would be incomplete without discussing Sylvia Plath, so I will recommend The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. I'm sure a lot of you have already read it. It is a classic. This is a hideous cover, so like don't judge this book by its cover because it's just rough. And this tells the story of Esther Green, who was working in an internship in New York, and she kind of starts to spiral. She goes home, she doesn't know what she wants to do with her life. She knows she doesn't want to be a mom, she knows she doesn't want to be a wife, but like she doesn't know what she does want. She just knows what she doesn't want, but she feels like because of society's standards, she has to follow this very linear path in her life. And this causes her to spiral, and she has a mental breakdown. And it's not cute, it's not fun, and it's really just a whirlwind of emotion and being mistreated by the medical system. And it's a really heavy read, although it's short. I found it really difficult to get through just because I related to Esther a lot, and I really felt for her and her experience. And now another classic writer of the unhinged girly is The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. Again, I don't have a very nice cover and I'm sorry, but just bear with me. And this is the story of our main character who was invited among other young people to live in Hill House, which is believed to be haunted. And they're invited by the psychiatrist who's doing a study on the paranormal activity of Hill House and how that breaks down our psyche. And it's just a slow descent into madness of this main character. And I think what's scary about this book, because it's considered gothic horror, is you're always anticipating something that is going to happen, but you don't know what. So you keep like, well, I mean, I did. I kept putting it down and being like, no, I can't read further. I'm too scared. It's really, really good, and I really enjoyed it, and it is a quick read in my opinion. And then this recommendation is kind of strange. It doesn't necessarily fall under the theme of unhinged women, but I felt it was still fitting, and I didn't want to do it disservice by not recommending it. And that's The Convenience Store Woman by Sayaka Murata. This is an incredible novel about this woman that does not fall under society's standards of what is deemed normal for a woman of her age. She works at a convenience store, she's worked there for years, and she's just trying to live her best life. This is what she enjoys doing. She really likes rules and standards, and she just wants to fit into this box in order to be accepted by society and in order to be left alone. And she's also super harassed by this guy that starts working there, and he is so unbelievably unpleasant. I don't think I've ever read such an unpleasant man in literature. It really, it angered me, and I had to put this book down so many times because I was getting so upset. It's a really great book, and I think it could fall within the theme of unhinged women, and it felt like the right fit for this list of recommendations. And of course, this is another book that I'm sure a lot of you have already read, and that is My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Ottessa moshfegh, which I loved. Initially, I gave it 3 stars, and then I bumped it up to 4, and then I bumped it up again to 5 because I think about this book so frequently and I recommend it so much that it's just a 5-star for me. And it's about this woman who she visits this quack of a doctor and decides that after this tragedy in her life, she's quitting her job and she's just going to sleep for a year. So this doctor prescribes her these medication that kind of knock her out, and she's really just living in a haze of her reality. She's so annoying and so spiteful and just so cringy, but so relatable that it's painful. It's such a red flag how much I relate to this unnamed character. And her friend is also the worst, and they're just the worst to each other. And it's so good. It's so good. It's classically unhinged women. And of course, this wouldn't be a video of mine if I didn't recommend Sally Rooney, but I'm only going to recommend one of her books, and that's Conversations with Friends. I just feel like out of all 3 of her books, being Conversations with Friends, Normal People, A Beautiful World, Where Are You?, this one captures the theme the best, and it's all about Frances and her relationship with this married man, Nick, and her involvement with him and his wife, and her experience as a woman in her 20s with her body and where she's going with life and her experiences and her relationships. And it's fantastic. It's so good. The intimacy of Sally Rooney's books just really blows me away. And I know I talk about this a lot and I talk about her a lot, but it's so amazing how she just puts you in her novels and builds this relationship between reader and characters, because you really just can't let go of the characters. It's unbelievably good. And last but not least, I want to recommend Unwell Women, Misdiagnosis and Myth in a Man-Made World by Elinor Cleghorn? I'm not really sure how to pronounce her last name, I'm gonna be honest. I read this recently and it was empowering, it was anger-inducing, it was eye-opening, and it was incredible. And it's all about the history of the relationship between women and the medical system, and how women were continually failed and dismissed and were given no self-autonomy and no respect. And it is sad and disheartening, but also uplifting in how much change has happened. And it also really puts perspective in what change needs to continually happen for women in medicine and for patients that are women. And it's a really, really powerful book. I was emotional reading this, and I was very moved by the story of so many women that were failed by the medical system. Truly failed. Excellent book. Honestly, a must read. It's on my list of like mandatory reading for everybody because it's just, you learn so much from this book. It's unbelievable. And yeah, that's it. That's all. Those are all my books for this first segment in Unhinged Girlies, or Sally Rooney-esque books, or whatever you want to call it. And I hope you like these recommendations. I hope you haven't read all of them yet. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a like. If you want to see more of my content, subscribe. And if you want to see anything specific, let me know. I'm always open to new ideas and new possibilities for reading. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.